everybody knows there's been the wildfires in Colorado. Colorado Springs was hit pretty hard by them. Now, here comes the interesting irony of all this. It turns out that, of course, Colorado Springs is massively conservative and doesn't really love to pay more taxes. Now, the irony comes in the form of, well, cutting your police and fire department. So, in fact, let me first quote professor here, associate professor of political science at the University of Colorado, Josh Dunn. He said that Colorado Springs was the Tea Party before the Tea Party was cool. And that's really true. It's the home of Focus on the Family, huge evangelical community there, et cetera. In fact, 20 years ago, they became really the birthplace of the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So they don't like to raise taxes there. And in fact, recently, they again voted down the possibility of raising taxes. And the reason is they think, well, look, we can do with limited government. So, well, what was the result of that? Well, over the last 5 years, their public safety ranks have gone down about 8% through attrition, because they won't replace people who have retired, et cetera. And they now have 50 fewer police officers and 39 fewer firefighters. That tends to be a problem when you have a raging fire in the town. And what happened in Colorado Springs in this wildfire? Well, 346 homes were destroyed, and 34,000 residents were forced to evacuate. And boy, they really could have used some extra firefighters at the time. And of course, now they say in hindsight, oh, no, we made do, we were fine, only lost 346 homes, and we didn't need the government. By the way, one of the guys running for mayor recently had said, hey, we might want to invest more in our firefighters and police, because what if we have a wildfire, as happens from time to time? He literally said that, and of course he lost. And it turns out he was right. And by the way, now that they have suffered all these fires, well, what has been their response? Well, Professor Dunn explains again. Dunn notes that the city, where there is a strong anti-federal government sentiment, is now turning to the U.S. for assistance. Of course they are. Okay. So look, I'm going to say something slightly controversial here. I think this is the chickens coming home to roost. So you say, oh, we don't need the government, we don't need the government, we don't need the government, until it turns out you need the government, and you need firefighters, and you need cops. And by the way, now after the fires, a string of robberies also reported in the local papers, because there aren't enough cops, and they're trying to help with the fires, which aren't totally out yet, and so now everybody's getting robbed. And turns out you need the government, and by the way, you even admitted, because then they go, okay, we're stuck. Please, federal government that we've been lambasting for the last 20 years, come and help.
Right, but the headline here is that they were wrong about it. And then when they figured out in the worst possible way that they were wrong about it, they didn't, they weren't admonished into saying, all right, we were wrong about it. Clearly we need to restructure the way we run our police and fire and municipal services departments, because we need to spend more money on them. Rather than do that, they say what you just said, Cenk, which is, we still don't, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It wasn't so bad, we lost some homes. They're not admitting their mistakes. Then it would be okay. Then it would be, you were fools for doing it, you proved it didn't work. But that's what makes me so crazy, so damn crazy sometimes, is that people don't respond by saying, all right, we were wrong.
You're so right, and it's very frustrating, because we see this from Maine to California. Whether it's a fire in your home or someone in your home gets cancer, there is this, even though someone is wildly against federal power, they're still applying for medical help or petitioning for medical help from the government. And we met a guy whose wife had cancer, and he was raging against the liberals and the progressives for health care. And I asked, how is your wife getting her treatment? And well, she's on Medicaid, and she's getting all this grant money from this hospital that the government is backing, and she's in a study. And yet he still was angry about the fact that there was this health care bill. And that's where the disconnect is. And I don't know how to reconnect those two things to say, hey, look, you're actually being very hypocritical here, because one hand is out receiving aid and the other is really criticizing those who are giving it to you. So
there's that famous poster that one of the Tea Party guys put up, get your government hands off my Medicare.
Yeah,
right?
And it's so true.
And then there's
it's the best.
Right, and then there's a Republican congressman who we recently did a story about, we hate Obamacare, we want to repeal the whole thing, and Huffington posted this brilliant analysis. Dozens of them have their kids that are now under the age of 26 under their own insurance plan because of Obamacare. And then they come and ask them, 5, 6 different congressmen and senators, well, you're using Obamacare. They're like, yeah, well, we like that provision. But wait, you want to repeal that provision along with everything else? Yeah, I know, but I mean, my kids need to be covered.